time is going by so fast every year. It's just like, what the hell? It's already Christmas again, you know? It's like, it's not slowing down at all. And I don't know if it's this idea of the consciousness being more conscious,
being more aware,
more
mindful of time and everything.
Yeah. Or somehow just reflecting or just understanding it or just the way it goes. And as you learn more and you become that more conscious, like time just becomes a lot faster. It just feels a lot faster. Not that it's actually going a lot faster. It just feels everything just moves quicker, you know, in that perspective.
There's a natural phenomenon of just time as a ratio, because if you're 2 years old, 1 year, you know, is half your life. And then every year you grow older is a smaller percentage. 1 year becomes a smaller percentage of your whole perspective of life.
Yeah.
And so that's why it feels shorter, but it's also, I don't know. I'm experiencing a lot of things in my late 30s right now where my thoughts are exactly reflective of what the old geezers used to say, you know, like there's still a child mentality in me that feels like when I look around and I see friends and brothers and like, we're like the youth kids we used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe, like, if I were to look at another dude in their late 30s, like, you know, some white dude at work or whatever, they look old as hell. But like, we're that age.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the other phenomenon, like football again, every time I see football players, I look like up to them like they're adults.
Yeah.
These guys are young as shit. You know?
They're actually kids.
They're kids,
They're
man.
kids.
Like, these are kids on television talking and everything. So I've watched football for so long, you look up to them because they're adults doing professional things, big guys. And these are kids, man, like comparatively, you know, like, and so that's just crazy too, because that's how old you are now. And
yeah, psychologically, I've never pinpointed the moment I considered and saw myself, oh, I'm an adult now, you know? I still feel like a big kid. And I'm 43.
yeah,
You know, I still just feel like a big kid, you know? And
I do too.
it's like, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot more responsibility, but, you know, mentally, you're just kind of like, I'm just living. Like, you always think when you're a kid that you're going to cross this point and this line because of what your parents, you know, and who they are to you and how you look up to them. And you just see this sense of authority and power and understanding, and they know it all. And they have this, you know, ridiculous amount of responsibility over you and life and everything. Then one day when you're going to get to that point too, you just turn it on and, oh, I'm an adult now. You know, I'm an adult.
I've arrived.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an adult now. Yeah.
Never happens, you know.
I'm still waiting for it to happen. I feel like I am. I'm like,
tomorrow, Shay. Tomorrow.
I'm still kind of a kid. I view our conversations like we're kids talking when we're kids, and damn it, I have a kid I need to take care of. No, I have 3 kids I have to take care of.
Well,
that's when you become sort of like that other side.
That's interesting. That is one factor. Having your own kids is one of those things that really do wake you up. You kind of realize, it's not the same anymore, you know, like I got this ultimate big responsibility on my plate now. Even though you still feel like a big kid and you don't feel like this ideal, you know, subject of being an adult or something.
Or like a subject of authority. You're like this authority figure and everything. Yeah.
But things are a lot different when you have your own kid, you know. Then you do kind of feel like, now I got to live my adult life.
Gotta take care of these kids.
Take care of kids now.
Ungrateful ass kids, man.
But I mean, it's also a beautiful thing, you know, to take on that responsibility and come to terms with it, you know, because you don't know until you know. When you have, like, it's like someone can explain to you about how life is going to be when you have kids. Like, when you have your own kid, this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And all that shit doesn't mean nothing until you have your own kid. And once you have your own kid, then you'll figure it all out, you know.
You'll figure it out, but at the same time, I feel like the opposite is true too. So having a kid does change a lot in terms of like my perspective on life and everything. But at the same time, you almost create this depiction of parenthood that's so authority otherly that when you become a parent, you think that your mind's going to transform. And now you're like, I've arrived. I'm a parent. No, I still felt the same before my kid came and and after they came. Like, I understand the responsibility is different, but I'm still like, I was kind of waiting for that moment to like, oh, you know, like they see in the movies, the rite of passage, you've you've been knighted or something, like you're now ready to take on parenthood. I still feel like, oh, yesterday my kid wasn't here. Now my kid's here. It's kind of the same. Now I just have to look after them all. But then there's times throughout the process over the next years that'll test you in that regard in a slow drip way, to where your brain starts to morph into that old geezer authority figure that back in my day, kids, you have no idea how you had it. I used to watch TV on this and blah, blah, blah. Then
I'm already that
geezer.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm the old geezer already,
It just naturally happens so slowly. Yeah, so I do see myself as that kid still, but I see myself like, man, I'm an old geezer now too. Like,
I'm the authoritative figure in my house. In fact, I'm so much it that when I'm not, like my girls, they get excited. They're like, "Ooh, Dad's fun, Dad today."
we're having kid dad.
He's like kid dad playing with us and chilling. He's not this yelling, angry old man anymore. They like that. But that guy only shows up like every now and then, and it's less and less. It's like. Don't have the energy anymore to be kid dad, superhero dad.
I know.
I'm always like, I gotta be somebody's gotta be the adult in the house. So gotta do what I gotta do.
Yeah. And I don't know. For some folks, I don't know what your opinions is, because like for some folks, the adulthood arrives when you move out the house, or when you buy your own house, or when you
No, I don't think it's so.
That's because
Because I moved out. I bought my own place. I've done my own things, and you never feel that sense, right, Zoo? Like,
I guess that's me.
because
you don't have kids yet.
you don't have kids yet, so
But you're still out there. You're getting up there in age where you kind of like can assess back and be like,
you bought a house, you're completely independent, self-sufficient, but I don't know. Do you still feel like I'm just like a big kid still?
Of course he
Every
does.
day.
He has toys.
No, I feel like that too as well, but I just don't have responsibilities like you guys right now, so it's just kind of.
You have
but
responsibilities.
Well, yeah.
For at least to yourself, and the things that you have, the easiest part, the responsibilities that you have are on objects, your bills, your house, your toys, whatever. But you don't have any of the responsibility on another person, You don't have to, prepare yourself or anything like that, or like meet someone's standard or do anything that or have any expectations that you have to come up to, or anything like that to anyone. You just owe it all to yourself. So, there's this sense of still that responsibility that's there, but it's totally different when you have to have that on another person, like your wife or your kids or whatever else. It's a lot more challenging that route.
I don't know. I'll throw it out there that whatever phenomenon we're talking about, I don't know, maybe it's just normal. Maybe a lot of other late 30, early 40 year olds feel the same way. We're like, I just feel like we're big kids. There's the other possibility that I do think your childhood, if you're not enabled or encouraged to live out your childhood as a kid, and you're sort of suppressed, from living a childhood, then even when you grow up and now responsibility and you have money, you still feel like that child inside. Like I say that because I feel like my memories as a child were just like yesterday. I can remember the feeling of being a kid just like yesterday, but my 20s are different. My, early 30s, those memories are different. Like I have some, but they're hazy or whatever. But my memories, the instances or even the sentiments I had as a 7-year-old, what I felt or feared, like I can remember those like they were yesterday. And so that's why I have that big kid notion. Like we're just like, when do you become an adult or whatever? I just feel like I'm a big kid or whatever. Maybe we still have that because there is, I think there's a generation of like just extremely underprivileged children that don't get to live a child life.
Yeah.
And they're just, beholden to whatever, whatever situation they have, living in projects or, foster homes or whatever, or in a household that's broken, and there's a lot of kids that don't get to be kids.
Yeah.
And so I think there's some truth to that too. So when those kids become adults, they've had a different life, a different perspective, and a lot of times they're a little bit more like savvy or aware about situations because they've seen parents and people who fought each other or like, and so they weren't allowed to live that childhood. But then there's that what it means is that child never escapes them either too. Like now that they have the means to take care of themselves and buy their toys or whatever, they'll do that.
They want to take full advantage of it. But then there's, on the other hand, there's the people who've been spoiled with that kid life. They just can't get out of it because that's what they're so used to, Some of the measurements for me, the way I look at it as far as adulthood life goes is, I don't, besides the idea of responsibility, but I always found like for example, I don't know how to put this. There's always a, you have your public version of yourself. You put on all these hats, right? You have your work hat, when you go to work, and then you have your public social version of yourself. And then there's also the private person, the things you do in private, that no one knows about. It's just you jerk off or, you self-improve or you do whatever. But then I think as I, at least for me, as I get older, the private Kong versus the public Kong slowly molds to become the same person, Where before, when I was a lot younger, it's always like, oh, there's always this idea in the social world when I'm around friends or I'm going out, or I always have this, facade or this kind of personality that I had to be, or, in the public world, in the public space of like, this is how I want the world to see me, and this imagination and whatever I have in my head. But somewhere along the way, as I got older, it's just kind of like, yeah, I don't even care anymore, and then your private version of yourself just becomes your public version. And then I come to terms that I realize like what I do in my private is actually so much more important than who I am in public. That it's what really defines me. It's what really defines my character and the person I become. And then it gets reflected on the public sphere, and they see it. And it just becomes molded. Now, are there nuances and still differences? Yes, of course. I'm not going to jerk off in public.
They're still got to draw a line somewhere.
There's got to draw a line somewhere. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. And I think that's one of the things I'm able to like really use as a rule or a measurement to at least see some grown up or adulthood life, in myself, of whatever you would define as being an adult,